Hey y'all, what is going on? Hey Margarita, hey Deborah,
I can't reach the internet right now.
hey
Check your
Google,
modem or
stop.
router connection and try again. I can't reach the internet right
Hey
now.
Google,
Check your
stop.
modem or router connection and try again. I can't reach the internet right now. Check your modem or router connection and try again.
12 people, 11 people. As you all can tell, Miss April just got home. Sorry about showing up 2 minutes late. I apologize. Mm. Y'all know I'm old school, so if you ain't never drank out of a mason jug, you ain't never lived. I'm gonna give it till 7:05 ish before we begin. So please get the likes up, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what's going on with everybody. Iraq's in a good spot, man. I don't know. I mean, I always tell people, Iraq's in one of them spots that where you really have to evaluate what your understanding of the news is, read the news cycle, and then of course, if you base what you're doing against what other people do, you can always tell that we're ahead of the game when I see other gurus. People, say, hey, look, this is what I see too. So I can always tell we're ahead of the game on certain things. So, hey, oh, there go April right there, y'all. Hey. Hey, we got 42 people in the house. Let me see here. Go right, go. Hey, Pamela, we're going to have Financial Fridays. Tony, what's going on? Sean, Mike, Frederick, Eric, Mike Fuller. Y'all can see Daisy Chewbacca.
Daisy Chewbacca. You got that right. Daisy need a bath.
What's up, Caesar? What's up, Biker Ken? So I would just like to say, to everybody that reached out on Facebook, last week about what was going on family wise, thank you. It's much appreciated. I really do thank you for reaching out. It's always good to have people in your corner, when you're going through a family thing. Oh, yeah, there goes Daisy, y'all. Willie, what's going on, Sean? There we go. Okay, we got 1 minute. I'm going to get started no matter what. So, hey. Hey, Sherry. What's up, Jerry? Invisible Hands. Saying hi to April. Saying hi to me, too. Biker Ken, what's going on? How are you? I'm well. Thank you for asking. I'm well. All right, we got less than probably 30 seconds before we're going to be in. So remember, we're looking at the news cycle, we're looking at everything, and we're looking at it. The frame of thought is, what have we talked about to what's going on today? So that's where I really want you guys to start really focusing your attention. Is if we've already talked about it, it's no sense reliving the same news cycle over and over. Only but to substantiate what we're talking about, as long as you can prove it by the method of threes. I know a lot of y'all out there are really eager to get to this, so I'm going to get to it right now. The Parliamentary Finance Committee considered on Wednesday that it is not possible to approve the general budget law for 2022. Holding Parliament elections, pointing out the Ministry of Finance is working on drafting the budget. Committee member Muhammad Shabiki told the News, financial management law stipulates that the Ministry of Finance and Planning and the Office of Financial Supervision should submit their plans and prepare a study for the purpose of arriving at a clear form of preparing the draft budget law for 2022. He also added it is possible to vote on the budget. It is not possible. Now remember, we as a group have talked about this since I have been back doing these live videos. the group that's currently in there right now, there is no way they can do a budget for 2022. It is lawful, and it is not a part of the agreement that they had already decided to go through when they started doing this whole early election. The idea of early elections was simply get this group out. Daisy's going to town.
Daisy Savage.
Savage. And get the new group in. So remember, they should not be approving any draft budgets. How are you going to approve draft budget law if you don't know? Savage, y'all. This dog is a savage. If you don't really know where oil prices are going to be, you don't have any forecasts. There's a lot going on that you can't predict the outcome of where your own economy is going to be. Very difficult then to say, hey, look, we're going to approve a draft budget law. Daisy, you are crazy. Stop. A bath will fix all that. Now, they say that early parliamentary elections are going to be held on the 10th of October. Now, I got a comment the other day about someone saying, well, that's exactly what you don't want. Well, why isn't it exactly what I don't want? I want new elections. I want to get the old people out and the new people in. I want to see a change of guard going through. I think the very best thing is, first of all, I was probably one of the very first people to even hint at this, and I'm not saying it for credit now. I'm saying it because it's true. There's no business for the United States to be inside of Iraq. If they're not in Afghanistan, there's no reason for them to be in Iraq. Why? Because it means that they have their thumb on the pulse of what's going on inside that country, and they really don't have a means of justification for having people, or having a country occupy another country. We've talked about this, and that's what you're seeing now. Everything is leading towards the new elections, which we want, and everything is leading to the sovereign government. So I'm in agreement with everybody saying, hey, look, I see the same thing that you see. I agree with them. I mean, it's point of fact to understand that you can't occupy a country and then call it free. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. On Thursday, the American ambassador to Iraq, Malcolm Turler, during the visit, they discussed bilateral relations, development, and political situations in Iraq and the fall to early parliamentary elections, as well as the importance of the outcomes of strategic dialogue between the two countries and the support for Iraq into achieving development and stability in a number of issues of common interest. They support the democratic process in holding the upcoming elections that are going to be held October 10th. I think it's really, really kind of noteworthy that we were talking about October 7th through the 10th because we knew that the government shutdown happens the 7th, the 10th comes right afterwards, and then that's when you need to really strap in and say, okay, that's my countdown if Kuwait is paid off, which they should be paid off, and I'll show you why in just a second, as to why what's happening is happening. U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee voted on Wednesday to revoke authorization related to Iraq war, which is considered a new step by the U.S. Congress aimed at curbing the presidential powers. The Hill reported on the website that the committee voted by 14-8 to pass a bill presented by the representatives of the Democratic and Republican parties, which would invalidate the 202 authorization and allow the use of military force inside of Iraq, as well as the rebuke the 1991 authorization, which was the ratification of the Gulf War. We knew this was coming. It isn't like, oh, this is news. This is a big deal. No, we said it. It came to pass, and it's crazy. Oh, I was trying to read the notes, see if people have questions.
Okay.
Hey, Jay, what's going on? Hey, Joy. Oh, Joy says, all of you say things for credit, yet nothing happens. Well, Joy, I can only say this. What I say happens in the news. My validation comes through print. I would love to see your channel and your information so I can verify what you're doing.
Savage.
Bomb there. Boom. Those who do. Those who can't, bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Savage.
Now, Senator Tim Kaine, one of the bill's authors, said that the mandate supported military action to counter malign activities in Iraq under Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein has not been in that country for the last, almost 20 years. There's no need to continue on with a senseless war. If the whole goal is for this country not to be the big brother to every swinging conflict in the whole world, then leaving Afghanistan and Iraq to their own means and let those countries decide, based upon countries, if you want to walk and be big boys and big girls, or if you want to go ahead and, what? Be taken over by terrorists will soon come out to play. I know, Sean, you just got to let these people, do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Mother 12. Yeah, Kuwait should be paid off by the end of the year. That's absolutely correct. So, again, hearing that we've already said that we want to see us leave Iraq, leave it unoccupied, let them be sovereign, is proof again of what our thinking and our process is to what we're doing. So I think we're doing well there. Now, I think also to validate that point, you also have to look at the WTO. And a lot of people are confused about the WTO and this whole idea of you can't be on a cheap rate if you're with the WTO. It's not that you can't be on a cheap rate and be at the WTO. You have to be of international standing and be with the WTO. No suppressed country can be a part of the WTO. That's the point that everybody needs to get. So even if you're in this for a lot of reasons, if you're in it for the stock market, if you're in it for exchange, the idea first is that you can exchange the currency international way before you care about what the rate is. I mean, that just goes back to basic economics. I mean, I get what people are saying. Yeah, those are bombs. Yeah, you can drop insert bomb here if you're paying attention. By them saying they're going to be a member of the WTO, it's not because they have to have a rate that's going to be so substantially high that people don't get it. The idea is for them to join the WTO so their currency is recognized and the country recognizes international stability. And that's why you want to see this WTO essentially. Now, the chairperson met in Geneva. Geneva was very impressed by the steps that they took. Basically, they said there was nothing really stopping them. I'll read it to you so you can put it in quotes. The chairperson left Geneva with a very positive assessment of Iraq's ascension process. He felt that there was a renewed political agreement of the Iraqi government as well as its mission to Geneva. He also believes, this is the main part, if you're looking for a main part to be the main part, he believes that as soon as the Secretariat receives the necessary negotiating inputs, the third working party meeting could be held before the end of 2021. Something else we've already said, we already believe, I really think that's going to happen. There's going to be an ascension to the WTO. Because I really believe that, guess what?
What?
Iraq's going to pay Kuwait. This ain't rocket science.
Sammy D says, my theory is that with the new government coming in, they'll be set with new everything plus a rate. Just thinking.
I'm not, Sammy, me and you differ on a few things. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying that this new group coming in is going to have new ideas, new thinking, and they're not going to do business the same way. Finance Alawi chaired the 15th session of the committee preparing the budget strategy for the years 2024, and he said the only reason why he basically wanted to have this meeting was to talk about the National Oil Company and the mechanisms for developing and enhancing its work tasks were discussed in the line of visions objectives for economic and financial reform. Now, I hate to keep saying, oh, that's a bomb, that's a bomb. Everybody's working towards the same general outcome. The economic and the reforms. What was that? Something just popped up.
What happened? Oh, that's just the chat.
Sorry about that. Having the National Oil in place before Iraq joins the WTO, in my mind, is really important because, remember, part of Iraq's constitution is Article 140. You want to see an amended article to their constitution so that within that National Oil Company they can pay the citizens. We know they can pay the citizens because they have those two funds. Within those two funds, we know that they can take care of the payments. Now, all they have to do is basically make sure that they don't run amok on their budget and overspend and undercollect, and oil needs to stay within a reasonable price frame just for us to see what's going to happen. Forget the EV evolution. Forget the whole fossil fuel evolution. For us, that does not pertain to what we're talking about because Iraq sells oil. Okay? And it's my theory that all the underdeveloped countries are going to stay on oil even far after these developed countries go to this EV process. So places like Venezuela, Cuba, Panama, Vietnam, they're going to be using oil and gas long after everything else. Okay? On Tuesday, the Central Bank of Iraq called on exchange companies to follow up with the names and persons and companies banned as a result of money laundering and terrorism crimes. The bank said in a statement that Mawazi News received would like to emphasize the money laundering and terrorist financing controls of companies brokering the sale and the purchase of foreign currencies, which stipulate the need for companies to follow up on the banned name received from the official authorities list. The reason why this is important is because the central bank has its own electronic system that includes daily movements of their activities, with the need to link the system with the international and local deprivations lists, which are supervised by the Central Bank of Iraq. We know the Central Bank of Iraq is never going to come under general scrutiny as far as money laundering because they have a good U.S. relation with the Federal Bank of the United States, which holds their money. Okay? Mm-hmm. Remember that, because that's going to be important. Hussein identified on Monday 3 goals for implementing the administrative and executive mechanism of their economic reform plan by the Prime Minister. In a statement received, said the official announcement of the start. Remember, you haven't even heard the start of the actual administration and organizational mechanisms of the economic reform plan represents the starting signal for all ministries, departments, and the main implementing of the agencies of the projects mentioned in the implementation of the white paper. I said this, they're not even using the 2021 budget yet. You know that because within the 2021 budget is what? It is the white paper. So therefore they're not using the budget, they're not using the white paper. And when you say, oh, well, they're not doing anything. No, because they're not using the budget. That's easy math. I want to see them using the budget because inside the budget contains the white paper. That's the most important thing you and I need to see right now, as well as them make those payments. The organizational preparations to start implementation were completed by the defining report programs and at the ministries. They are not of concern as much as it reiterates the work ethic of the state and the economy. The reason why they're not going crazy is because there's 3 points. Achieving economic reform, correcting structural imbalances of the Iraqi economy, and reducing dependence on oil revenues by making the economy able to create jobs and sustainable development that will positively affect on the Iraqi people. So the only way you can really do that is to start the reforms that happen within the country as far as engineers, doctors, hospitals, schools. So as you know that as those things may not be happening, and they are happening because we did that in the last show. And thank you everybody that gave well wishes to my dad. I really appreciated that. Remember, we knew that from last show that the Chinese have already been building this stuff for months. We just need it official on paper for whatever reason. And admission is not just guilt. It is also validation of the things that we want to see happening that are good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. My fingers are long.
You ready for some questions?
Yeah, give me a question. Give me a question.
Okay. So Denise says, how do you know that, Mr. B, they can elect Iranian-backed people? Iran don't want Iraq to move forward.
How do I know they won't? You don't. You just have to kind of like, it's kind of like the elections here. I don't know if the person that I'm going to support as a candidate is going to win the election. All I can do is participate and vote and hope that the outcome of what I want to see happen based upon what's good for me politically and as a citizen goes through with a bunch of other like-minded individuals.
And she says, I'm nervous about the election.
I'm not.
I hope you're right with all young Iraqi people running.
Well, think about it. Let's flip the coin then. Who was that who asked that question?
This is Denise.
Denise, you bring up an excellent point. I want to flip the coin on you. Let's say they join everybody that they get in as they can. They got a bunch of Iraqi subsidized people. Mm-hmm. What do you think the very first thing that the Iranian subsidized people are going to want to do? Reinstate the currency. Why? Because Iran's currency is worthless. It makes more sense if I'm going to milk the cash cow, get as much milk off the cash cow as possible, force the reinstatement regardless of how strategically well planned it is, and guess what? Capitalize on the exchange, just like all these subsequent, what do you want to call them? Speculators like you and myself, because we'll have a vested interest in the game. You can play it from both sides. It makes no sense for them to shut it down. It makes every sense for them to turn it up and to make things pop, so that that country, if it is Iran, can benefit, especially because now there's no occupation of Iraq by the U.S. government. I can make the argument either way, and I really wish someone would ask me, don't. Because if you can make it both ways, it makes sense. You see what I'm saying? If I couldn't make it the other way and said, well, if Iran took over, they're going to shut everything down. No, they're not. Iran needs money. They're hemorrhaging money daily. They're under their own civil war. See what I'm saying? It makes sense for them to push their brethren through so that they can reap the benefit of what's going on. You got another question or keep going?
Let's see. I have comments.
Okay, comment.
We are living in unconventional times. Things are not politics as usual. The ground's fertile for miracles and drastic actions.
I can't disagree. I mean, because what we've done so far hasn't worked, right? So I think sometimes you got to shake it up.
Denise says, thank you. I feel better now. Thank you.
You are very welcome. And remember this, as you guys are looking at this dinar or you're looking at anything, if you can't pose the argument both ways to substantiate what you're talking about, then maybe you ought to change your argument. Because it doesn't make any sense. And that's not Denise. I'm not picking on her. I'm saying that when you listen to the news and you say, okay, well, this is what's popping, and then, okay, this is what we're saying, it's happening, and you know what? I can't control the outcome. However, based upon a good prediction, I can predict what I think will be the outcome based upon good information.
And that's really it.
Okay, the statement added the reform plan will provide a solution to the chronic economic management crisis, which is represented by a complete dependence on oil and the diversity of income, pointing out the insistence on restoring Iraq's economic prestige. In my opinion, and again, this is now I'm giving you opinion, not fact. When they talk about returning Iraq to economic prestige, what they're really saying to you is put them back to a respectable level internationally. Respectable doesn't mean your currency's got to be $4. Respectable is $1. You see what I'm saying? Dollar for dollar. Maybe a little less. Go down to 80 cents. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that's respectable. That would be returning Iraq from the depths of the depths all the way to the positive side of the positive. And anybody that want an 80% return back on their money or a 60% return on their money, they're nuts. At this point, those would be viable times for what's happening.
So are you saying, like, it could be possible that it's at like 80 cents?
That's not unheard of. 60 cents, not unheard of. $1, not unheard of. Now, if you get some quack out there talking about $3, you tell them to prove it to you based upon some real economic plan to really enforce why the currency's worth what they're saying it's worth. At that point, I would really have to question their economic prowess because I can't really see it being worth
I think most
$2.50.
But aren't most people aligning with the fact that Kuwait RV'd at that rate?
Yeah, but their currency was worth that prior to that, and it was really worth that. Unlike Iraq's currency, a lot of people don't know this story. Iraq's currency, when Saddam Hussein dictated that it was worth $3.22, set that price based upon an agreement that he needed to buy arms to start the Kuwaiti War. That's what people don't really know. Saddam said it, the world bought it, he bought arms. Soon after that, the actual exchange rate went back down a little bit.
Denise has another.
Yeah, shoot, please. I love questions.
She said she read 2 different articles. PM Cosme, is that how you say it? Cosme is running, and I heard he's not for PM. Yes or no? Thanks.
No, he's not running. He doesn't want anything to do with it. And no, he's not running. And guess what? It's going to go forward from there.
And that was
just like Sauter, he says he's not running. Remember our dear friend, the religious relic Sauter, who really sold out the country to Iran many moons ago.
Wasn't he the sick one?
He was sick. He has heart problems.
Yeah.
People don't talk about that either. And speaking of Kazami, he chaired a meeting with the Higher Committee of Reforms and he listed a list of things that he says is going to happen. He says, we're going to launch the reform white papers to address the rampant corruption in the country. We've been working to create an atmosphere suitable for its application. He said the meeting today is to announce the start of the administration and executive mechanism of the economic reform plan within the white paper. So he said we're strongly trying to launch it. He said, thirdly, we strongly aspire to restore the country's economy to its power after it has reached very low levels due to rampant corruption. This plan would rebuild the country's economy properly, achieve sustainable development in the country, and growth. Reform plan will provide a solution to the economic crisis, management crisis, which is entirely dependent on oil and not diversifying sources of income. What they should be saying to each other is, we need to gain wealth off of the country's infrastructure plan. Just like infrastructure everywhere within a country is so important. You don't have to get rich off one thing. You can get rich off contracting because you already made an agreement with those contracting companies that 50% of that company has to be employed by Iraqis. So you could solve your crisis of what's called unemployment by simply start rebuilding your country. Okay? The damage to the Iraqi economy is high. That is why it's impossible to implement the reform plan in a short time. And that's why we need to implement it as soon as possible. Our goal is to promote the current government because the government go and the state is staying. Remember that. The government is going. The state of Iraq or the Republic of Iraq or the country of Iraq is staying. Out with that stinking thinking of the old guard. I've screamed this. And you know what? The last person that we talked about, their comment makes a great point. We don't know who takes over, but we know the devil we got. I need a new devil to analyze where we're not going. And if they paid off Kuwait, they don't have a choice but to be international. The world says that, not Iraq. Make sense? Once they've paid off their debt, they're reinstated. It's at that point they decide where they want to go.
Biker Ken has a question.
Shoot.
Okay. Have they gotten back the money that was stolen from them?
Okay, I'm about to read it to you, but they're about to get the funds that were taken from them put back in the Federal Reserve to protect them. See, what Iraq's kind of going through is kind of like a bankruptcy, a country of bankruptcy, right? Mm-hmm. They don't want these creditors to say, well, look, I had a bill from 2001, pre-2003 to come out there and say, look, we want to get paid because you didn't pay us back then. By the Federal Reserve holding that money, it protects them from creditors. I was about to read that to you, but you bring up a very good point. That money's about to be released back to them. The Ministry of Finance says they have a way to stimulate the national economy. The British ambassador to Iraq, Mark Bryson, and his accompanying delegation during the meeting says there's a bilateral relationship between the two countries. We know that, right? It's kind of like, well, what are you going to do? You want to hear these? I get what some people say all the time. Look, I hear you talking, but you're not doing a whole lot. But you are doing a whole lot when the UK comes through and says, hey, look, we support you in the context of economic as well as strategy between the partnership of the two countries. I read, this article is not really all that great. I'm not going to read that one. The next elections, they say, will take place in this October next. That to me is the holy grail of the holy grail. We need to make sure that those new elections take place because it seems the timing around so many critical things that we need to happen is October. I wouldn't venture this guess to say, well, they might have Kuwait paid off around October. I think that's totally feasible. The withdrawal of some political forces from the electoral race is a natural, legitimate position, but does not represent a legal reason to cancel or postpone, because they already have over 3,000 or 3,500 persons that are running for political offices in Iraq that are already pre-registered to run. If that doesn't scream to you guys that we're having some elections, it's going to be a complete upheaval of what's going on in the political thinking and process inside of Iraq. There's going to be an electoral commission that the United Nations, and you know what? I'll say this. I'll criticize the United Nations. I think the way they ran the last elections there was crappy. I hope that this time when the United Nations comes in with this new electoral process, they come in with more of a heavy hand and they're able to kind of push things through. You know, trying to get one minister elected over a 2-month period just seems like a waste. Unless you look at U.S. politics, when we still don't have cabinet members elected right now under this administration, whether you believe it's lawful or not, they're running it, right? But you got to say, dang, it happens everywhere, not just in Iraq. I just hope they come in there. Yeah, it says the number to exceed over 3,500 candidates from all these different provinces. I think there's only, 300 parliamentary seats there? So, man, only 10% of the best are going to actually make their way to a position of power. And let's just hope, like somebody said, hey, that these people have the best interest, self-serving interest of economic wealth in mind so that you and I may reap the benefits thereof, right? That's good to remember. The organization law, which includes the important articles regarding, says the commission must issue additional regulations and instructions to take it more seriously. These necessary measures, including the punitive, as well as the basis of the Constitution. The commission has implemented the law as it is regarded. The House of Representatives is exclusively legitimate as an authority. For criticism is always welcome. It's kind of like here. Criticism is always welcome. However, don't get mad when your point is rebuked or I have a retort. I necessarily don't agree with everything positive or negative, but I'm going to make an opinion based upon the news and the information that I have. The upcoming elections will take place in a completely different way than any of the things that we've done in the past. These mechanisms or the previous ones. So you already know now they've put a lot of emphasis on this electoral process. We've just got to see what's going to happen. The seventh item imposed on the United Nations after the invasion to Kuwait. Many fear that the money will be pursed to creditors. We talked about that. The UN Security Council has obligated the Iraq government at the end of 2010 draw up a plan, take over supervision of the developmental plan. That's what people are talking about, those stolen funds. And they're saying the U.S. Treasury Department ensures immunity by the U.S. presidential law on it, which would protect Iraq imports from oil from any creditors going forward. So we know now that any creditor that comes back and says you owe us money because based upon this blah, blah, they're not going to get it. You sleep?
I'm waiting for you.
Okay, I'm ready. Your head was down, sorry.
I know. So Denise wants to know if the military U.S. stays there just for training only, will they still be recognized as a sovereign country?
Yeah, because you remember the United Nations as well as the U.S. military, there's several companies that offer private security that train other countries as far as how to make your military more effective as well as efficient. So yeah, they will be. But total occupation with having everything that we have there is actually, kind of the opposite. So, yes.
Sean says, I feel like things are moving forward and the potential for a positive outcome in October is looking great.
I do too. I really, and listen, I don't think there's going to be a change in October. There very well could be. But I think that you'll be in position to see a change where you're not now. Right now, you're in no position for change. Right now, you're sitting here reading the news and watching the news just like I am. But in October, when things happen and all these things have happened, as time has lapsed, and we can see where they're at with Kuwait, I really believe then that you'll actually be able to see movement, good or bad. This is the thing. I'm invested in several things that didn't pay off as fast as I wanted, right? Did I get out of the investment or did I hang in there? No, I hung in there because I believed upon the research and everything else that was done that good things are going to happen. So you got to hold on to that. Either that or simply sell your investment, recoup what you can, and get out of the investment and move on to something else, which is good too. We call it cutting bait. I cut bait a lot on some things.
70 said they will have their summer tea this year.
I can't disagree with you. I can't. I really love the odds.
And Heavy Metal Chef said your beard's looking good.
Ah! It's a little longer than normal, but hey, wifey said grow it out a little bit more. Tell anybody out there, if you're looking for a chef for catering, Chef Gwen, she's really good, or Heavy Metal Chef. My two favorite chefs on the internet. Check them out on YouTube. Both of their channels. Check out April BB's channel for fashion tips. Man, we do a lot of stuff on here, man. Y'all should have some fun. I promote people's stuff, you know. I used to not. I'm doing it now. Shoot.
He laughed at you.
Heavy Metal, man, he can cook. I don't care anybody. That boy can cook. So can Chef Gwen.
Hey, Heavy Metal, we made chicken pot pies last night.
Yeah, we did make chicken pot pies. They were good too. Wifey made those. She makes a mean chicken pot pie, and she makes a mean mashed potatoes. All the accounts. Look, I'm losing weight, y'all. You see, I ain't got all the gut in front of me. Miss BB got me on a diet.
That's not true.
She makes me get up and work out.
He walks 5 miles a day, not me. I sit there and play in my phone. And I get on the list. Okay. I can't look. I don't have my glasses, y'all. So if I say your name
you
wrong,
need my glasses?
I'm sorry. No. High reserves, high gold storage, high oil prices. They can support a $3 rate return, I believe. I think this is Jay that says this.
Okay, but how? Remember to meet a $3 rate, they'd have to. You can't count oil because it's not out of the ground. You can't count gold because there's countries that have more of it. You can't count tourism because of the pandemic. How? You can't. There's no. I mean, I know. I do. Listen, I want a $3 rate more than you do. To say I told you so when I said it, but I don't see it. And I say if you're thinking about it logically, and not to the point of my feelings are involved, like it's like the lottery. I would love to win the big prize, but if I won the $5 million prize instead of the big prize, I'm not going to throw the ticket away.
Right.
That's what I'm saying to y'all. That's all I'm saying. Should I keep going?
Okay. I'm gonna let you make it.
Well, don't let me make it. Give me what they're telling us.
I'm reading through them. Sammy D said, "Shoot, I'll take 60 cent or 80 cent."
You don't know what I do with 60. See, and that's the difference between a major stakeholder in the dinar and a minor stakeholder. If I was sitting on $1 million dinar, 600,000 may not seem like a lot of money in the long scheme of things. For how long you've been waiting? But have you ever had $600,000? That's a lot of money, especially if you can walk away from it tax-free. And I know how to do that. Join the Noble Institution. Having troubles with my website, but don't worry. I'll get with my web developer. Join the Noble Institution.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
We're working on it. Now if I need to check my email.
I tell people all the time, I'll take any person out there. If they'll tell you if they had $1 million dinar, right? And they say, well, it only went for 50 cents. I'm not cashing it in. I will gladly take that dinar from them and exchange it for something of value and move on to a different investment.
Oh, no, that was not Shanta. Shauna. She said, where she say? Let me see. Oh, that's great, Mr. B. Walking is great.
Oh yeah, walking's awesome. I walk 6 times a week and lift weights 4 times or 3 times. It is good. It's good. And listen, taking care of family is good. Last week I had to take care of my dad. You know what? That's what I want. That was the message of today's meeting was, I'm sorry I wasn't here last week. I apologize. But you know what? Family comes first. And a lot of us have spent way too much time on this and other things and not with family and making sure your family's good. Iraq's going to be there. Trust me. And they're going to get done.
Shanta said she wants $3 or more.
I'm letting y'all go then because y'all going to start a mutiny on me and be like, $3. Mr. B doesn't say that. No, Mr. B says, I want what I can get so I can move on.
Shanta wants a $3 holla.
So, with that, and with the time that we've spent, y'all, is there another question right there?
Are you all in on a 60 cent or 80 cent rate, or will you partially cash in?
Oh, no. Listen, this is a freebie. I'm partially cashing in. I don't care if they come in at 60 cents. I'm only cashing in because I hold enough dinar, right? To say I'll take my 600,000 out of it, and I'll wait kindly to see where the rest of it goes. I'm not when people say, "Oh, well, 6% of my money." No, I want at least 90 to 110% on my money.
So you're saying you'll like cash in $1 million?
Yeah.
Because what, $1 million will yield
600,000. Yeah. If I'm saying 60 cent.
Yeah.
Based upon what I'm kind of thinking in my brain.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Let me see what else is there. I think that was it. I try to stay. I'm gonna be honest with you. That one person out there, I'm staying away from political questions.
Who's that? No, ask the political question.
It's gonna start problems. No, really.
I mean, is it about Trump or something?
Yes.
Oh, it ain't got nothing to do with that. I ain't no QAnon freak. Don't do that.
That's what I said.
I ain't with Q.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole because
I don't want nothing like that.
I don't want to offend any side. So anyway, I think that's really it.
If Iraq devalues at $1, will it go higher? Well, it can't. Okay, Biker Kid, I gotta ask you this question. It can't devalue. It can devalue and go higher. It just has further to go before it hits a positive part. You see what I'm saying? Devaluation is not what you want to see. You want to see revaluation, or what I'm telling you is reinstatement. Now, I don't believe that reinstatement is specific to a time frame. I'm saying reinstated to a positive sense that it was in the past.
But wasn't it at a higher rate?
Way higher, but it was artificially induced by its leader. It's dictatorship.
Right. But a reinstatement technically would be that rate, right?
Right. Its strongest times, it was between $2.20 and $2.60. That was the strongest
I'll
of
take
times.
that. I'll take
If they were like, I just want to get back to $2.20, I would be like, oh, wow,
If
okay.
it came in at that, I'm all in. Take it.
Yeah, $2, there is no step grade to that. I'm exchanging. I'm done.
I ain't waiting no more.
You know, hey.
I'll be in PR.
Yeah, Bahamas in the house. I love the Bahamas. Does Miss B make good cornbread?
I do. I have, but it's
Yeah, I'm not a cornbread person.
Yeah, I make it from scratch. I make chili and cornbread. I'll make it together.
She makes a lot of great stuff, honestly. She's about to make this broccoli beef thing real quick.
Broccoli beef, yeah.
So I gotta let y'all go. We're over 100. I'm very proud of everybody for showing up and showing out. Join the Noble Institution, right? Buy some stock, man. If I was in this, had an extra $200, I'd be joining the Noble Institution and buying some stock. You want to know why in Iraq?
Look. Shanta said exchange and wait and wait for the dividends. Yep.
Man, the dividends is what you live for. Exchange one time, dividends for the rest of your life as long as you can pay the fee. And I've already said the fee's only going to be $30. Yeah, and I really do believe, this is the other thing. I have a project, and I'm saying this live. If anybody out there knows any investors that want to get behind a green project, Megan and I have a process that we own the patent to that takes waste from an animal, pigs, chickens, whatever, and turns it into methane. If you know somebody out there that has dairy farms or cows, DM me, send me a message. I need to talk to them about some opportunities that are going to come arise that we will be able to really help the planet be better, lower greenhouse emissions, and not stop us from eating steaks, pork chops, and everything else. And with that, y'all, I love you. Daisy, you got to stop.
I'm ready to go.
Yep, it's that time. We went a little longer than usual. But I thank you. And thanks for all the well wishes. Thank you guys for being awesome. I'll see you next week. The news is all positive. Stay with it.